So, last part, the Mirror Universe Discovery arrived in our timeline from its point of destruction in 2257. So we have two problems facing us we need to deal with: the returning of the ISS Discovery to its point in time, and dealing with Mirror Captain Tilly and her forces on the planet Pahvo, which itself has been turned into a psionic weapon. We've been patrolling the perimeter of the system since, while Starfleet and the Alliance assembles a response.
Our information about events at Pahvo is incomplete, but I believe the Terrans are undertaking a large-scale operation there. They have managed to coerce the planet's consciousness into serving their violent needs. Furthermore, they've turned Pahvo's transmitter into a potent weapon. Time is of the essence. While the Alliance is mobilizing a larger response, we are, in effect, the first responders. It falls to us to do what we can to stop Captain Tilly and her crew before they solidify their control of Pahvo. Failing to do so could be catastrophic. Ideally, we should return the Discovery and her crew to their proper time and space. Under the circumstances, removing the Terran presence from Pahvo is the more immediate, logical need.
Agreed. So long as the ISS Discovery is intact, we can send it back to its origin whenever we like, so long as we get it right. With the ion storm still raging, sensor readings are a little fuzzy, so with the aim of buying time and getting eyes on the situation, we enter the system once more.
Based on my readings, I believe the Terrans have managed to alter Pahvo's song. Somehow, Tilly and her crew have manipulated it into a new type of harmonic waveform. This waveform is potent enough to realign the space around the planet, shifting it into a different quantum signature. As a result, a number of interphasic rifts have opened within the system.
Interphasic rifts are usually overlaps in universes and turbulent, unpleasant realms in their own right. For what purpose?
I believe she is attempting to bring things from the mirror universe to ours. Logic suggests an invasion force, based on previous encounters with the Terran Empire. We are not the only ones interested in this behavior. The time-displaced Klingons are moving to investigate as well. Considering previous encounters, the situation could become volatile quickly.
Is it ever any other way? I can see some disturbances further in the system. Let's go take a look. So much is correct. The Klingons that were brought through with the Discovery are also investigating the system. If only they would talk to their high command in this time, I'm sure conflict could be avoided. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear that we're able to change their minds, and they attack us on sight, so we have to destroy them. Taking a look at these spatial interphases, we can see the telltale green glow of matter caught in their wake as seen on the USS Defiant when it passed into one years ago. Additionally, we have a fresh wreck, or at least part of a ship, drifting and aflame just beyond its aperture. We take a reading to find that the ships have the same quantum signatures as Terran Universe vessels, so these are attempted crossing points, but poorly executed. I think they are from our current time. As a result, we are freer in our actions, not bound by a temporal prime directive, and we rescue the surviving personnel, beaming them to our brig. Tilly's mad scheme seems to be doing as much harm to her people as, well, potentially ours. To her, this whole universe was a recent discovery, and she still lacks the skill to properly open a crossover point between the mirror and prime reality, even with Pahvo at her disposal. I actually feel a bit sorry for the Terrans on the other side, flying into a rift with no idea it's unstable, and being destroyed before they emerge. Both sickbay and the brig are filled with Terran survivors. No doubt they're bristling at being so easily captured, but, well, tough. They're alive and going to be sent back home when we have the time. Some interesting notes, however: several of the rescued were covered in mycelial threads, fungus. Readings suggest that these mycelial strands, cocooning some of the survivors, actually protected them during the crossing. Strange, but we'll put a bookmark in that.
I have the coordinates for the science station on the planet's surface. It is logical to assume that the Terrans have taken control of the research team and their facilities. Preparing for an armed response would be prudent. The research facility has already been attacked. We must see to the welfare of the researchers, if any survived.
With the reinforcements Tilly was hoping for not present, and the Klingons in orbit dealt with for now, we were able to beam down in an attempt to aid the researchers and look around Pahvo for the first time. Amid the trees and rocks sit several standout silver shelters established by the research team. These are temporary abodes and used as short-term accommodation, but in this case I think the Vulcan Science Institute is attempting to minimise its impact on the planet, its footprint. After all, every life form here, from the trees to the grass to the bushes to the particles in the air, are networked together in a collective psionic mind. We find the researcher team in need of some minor aid. There are both scientific and security personnel here.
Your assistance is appreciated.
I have recovered.
My injuries
We
are
are
not
fortunate
life-threatening.
that the Terrans did not kill everyone. They were more concerned with our research data and equipment. Our work appears to have given the Terrans what they need to communicate with Pahvo in ways we cannot. They are now able to alter the planet's consciousness, causing it to reflect their own dark nature.
Okay, before we go any further and transporters are cut off or something, we should probably beam the researchers up to the Armiger.
Our security personnel should remain with us. We will need all the help we can get against the Terran forces.
You know what? Sure, could use the help.
While trying to communicate with the planet, we have learned that it uses crystal matrices as transmitters. We have a small collection of crystal samples. They may be useful to re-establish the planet's normal biosphere, free from Terran influence.
Alright, so first things first, let's go with the specialist here. He thinks the crystals can be used to restore the planet. Let's go ahead and grab those shiny rocks.
I was able to take readings of the area. Terran technology is not subtle, especially agonizer gear. I am reading it in several nearby locations: a meadow, a riverbank, and a narrow pass. I'm also reading several Terran life signs in those areas. I do not expect a warm welcome from them.
So they are literally torturing the planet to cooperate and turning its pain into a weapon? How very Terran of them. So we disable any such equipment we see and stun any Terrans too.
There is a canyon that exits to another glade of Pavan life a short distance to the south of here. Logically, the Terrans would seek out places where they can use their technology to attempt to subvert the planet.
Well, they can't have gone all over the planet yet, and they are restricted to the terrain as we are. So we should be able to just follow in their footsteps and undo their work. What is that?
The device there, near the crystals, disable it to interrupt the Terrans' hold on Pahvo.
We follow an apparition of blue particles to one of the tortured crystals and undo the agonizer's effect. With that undone, we place a fresh crystal from our supply, which allows the planet to attune to and reverse the damage caused with a fresh sample. Looks like the planet responds favourably, as small flowers immediately bloom in the proximity to the crystal. Just around the next turn in the canyon, we find our first patrol of Terran soldiers, one of which is wistfully admiring the scenery against a tree trunk. I'm sorry to interrupt, but you're gonna have to stop. With them dealt with, we set about reversing the damage done to another crystal cluster. This planet really is wonderful. It's a shame it's considered such a reserve because of its unique nature, but I guess too many visitors might, well, literally upset Pahvo. So better stick to hiking on Riser. We press on, following the only obvious path. It's very likely that this is the route that the Terrans then took too. And sure enough, rounding the bend we see more of them and another tortured crystal. After dealing with them, we set about undoing more of their work.
We should continue before the Terrans send reinforcements. Curious. I sense something. They are attempting to communicate telepathically.
They are angry. Kill them all!
Alright then, not good. The telepathic nature of the Vulcans is working against us now as the Pahvon's sheer pain and anger at their Terran treatment infects the Vulcans' minds. It's a short skirmish with no casualties, and the Vulcans manage to regain control of themselves. So Matt, you gonna be okay?
Fascinating. The Terrans have used their agonizer technology to induce a state of hostility in the Pahvon biosphere. It is lashing out, using its empathic powers to project its pain and rage into other living beings. If the Terrans are able to do this on a large scale, the planet could serve as a massive telepathic weapon. It would be able to subvert or kill anyone, anywhere. We should disable this technology wherever we find it on Pahvo.
Yeah, that's what we're doing, buddy. Also, it's not fascinating, it's downright scary. First a giant space laser made of telepathic energy, and now they can use it to turn anyone crazy wherever they like. And none of us felt anything. Then again, I've got a really low Esper rating, but is Temet going to be okay?
An interesting question. I believe the biosphere has a stronger connection to myself and my team. It may have instinctively struck the most familiar minds first. That being said, I do not believe it will continue to exclusively attack members of my team. Only those with the ability to harm the biosphere will be immune.
Okay, so is your team now a liability, or can we safely bring you with us?
Yes. Now that I have experienced the psionic attack, I can take steps to shield my mind against it. The security officers, on the other hand, do not have my level of training in the mental arts. It would not be logical for them to continue on with us.
So, we send the security team back to the Armiger. We keep our away team as it is, hoping that so much theory is accurate and that Pahvo won't yet target people it doesn't know. I'm trying not to be frustrated with it. For all its miraculous networking of consciousness, Pahvo's intellect is little more than instinctual, and like a wounded animal, it is attacking even those here to help it out of anger and fear. We take out some more Terran forces before reaching another cluster, but this one is situated next to a cave entrance protected by a force field.
It seems that in addition to using their agonizer technology on the planet itself, the Terrans are blocking access to the central pillar with force fields in selected areas. Doubtless, they wish to prevent interference in their captain's plans.
Preventing interference, eh? That's not going to work for me. I like to interfere. I guess if all else fails, we can always climb over this rock face, but let's just see if we can disable the security field first. Now, before we continue, nearby to this is a hidden vale covered in bushes, beyond which is Captain Tilly's initial landing point. We can find a shuttle branded to the ISS Discovery here, as well as some leftover supplies, which are very useful and contain 23rd century phaser sniper rifles and an accommodation for finding this hidden camp. Well, I say initial landing point. Tilly originally beamed down, but hey, I guess this came afterwards. After, frankly, not much trouble at all, we lower the force field. Tilly's really not as brilliant as she thinks she is. We head through a crowded, crystal-encrusted cave and emerge to see quite the sight.
Oh, you're good! Seriously! I sent my best to deal with you. My best! And here you are, alive and kicking. Well, bravo!
It is illogical for you to continue, Captain.
Whatever you are doing to Pahvo needs to end.
Ah, the famous Vulcan logic. Get it straight. Pahvo and I, we're just getting started. Oh, and that part about sending my best at you? I lied.
Naturally, she does not want to come along quietly. This battle can be a little tough, and several times I have to resurrect officers that are felled by her endless wave of goons that she beams over, presumably from the Discovery, which is somewhere hidden in the system.
Why don't I give you a little taste of my big gun?
Tilly raises a force field around the central control panel and begins to tinker.
Disable the controls to the left before she forces Pahvo to release a lethal wave of psychic energy.
Up a ridge to the left, we can find the agonizer she's trying to activate.
I can do this all day. You? Not so much.
Disabling it forces her to call in more soldiers, and the battle repeats. She too joins the fray once she has help, and we have to hold out, whittling her down again until she retreats once more behind the security field and attempts to activate the second of 3 agonizers on the main crystal tower.
Time's up. Ready to die?
Disable the controls to the right before she forces Pahvo to release a lethal wave of psychic energy.
Ever had an agonizer down your throat? No? You're about to.
The Prime Universe Tilly is smart, as is this one, but this one is vicious and paranoid, which serves as a debilitation to her intellect, as Tilly is dangerous and, I think, legitimately insane.
Now this will be a real treat. For me.
Disable the controls behind the spire before she...
You just got to my last nerve and jumped all over it.
With all 3 of her agonizers disabled, the damaging effects to the crystalline spire are no more, and her plan is undone. But still she fights on, until finally she concedes.
Well, this is definitely not how I saw this ending. You know it's only a matter of time before we beat you, right? You don't have the stomach to stop us. But we're more than capable of ending you. And I intend to make that happen.
That seems unlikely. Your campaign of terror here is over, Captain.
Oh, I'm not done yet, Vulcan. Till next time, you assholes.
I thought she objected to bad language.
Fascinating.
You're weird.
Interesting. She has somehow used Pahvo's transmitter as a long-range transporter. Tilly could be anywhere in the quadrant now. If we are fortunate, we might find further clues among the Terran equipment. They did go to considerable trouble to arrange the site.
My thoughts exactly. I'll have a quick rummage.
I think we have found all we can here. It may be advisable to return to your vessel so that we can deal with the situation in local space.
With the Terran tech offline, the Pavan collections, manifestations, emerge to watch us curiously, or perhaps in thanks. Either way, our work down here is done. Now we have the ISS Discovery to deal with. If we're lucky, maybe Tilly is aboard.
Now that you have secured the research preserve, we must find a way to return the remaining Terrans and their vessel to their proper time and place.
So, I've got contacts, but do you have any recommendations?
We can use the Ion Storm to send Discovery back. Specially modified probes can amplify the storm in specific locations. This can generate a localized ion effect and open a gateway to the proper point in space and time.
Similar how the switch between Lorcas happened years ago. They'll resist.
Indeed, especially given the Terran predilection for hostility.
And without so much as a cautionary warning shots, they open fire on us. It's a dumb and desperate decision. They are outmatched and without their ace in the hole. After an exchange of fire that lasts less than a minute, we cripple their ship.
This is pointless. As much as it pains me to say this, we surrender. What are your terms?
Chief Patel. No Tilly, I take it. Well, you are to cooperate in the return of your ship to its correct location in time.
Fine by me. Tilly slinked off to parts unknown and left us to die. I'm the captain now, and I say send us back if you can.
Return to your initial point of entry and we will send you back. You know, she probably figures she can tackle the past better than now.
Your display has been updated with the locations to place probes around Discovery. Once the probes are in place, they will trigger an ion flare to open the gateway that will take Discovery back.
Very well, we'll deal with the loose ends as we find them. Although there are still quite a good number of Klingons out there.
Agreed. The time-displaced Klingons are still out there. They have shown a distinct interest in destroying the Discovery, along with all of us.
If they figure out what we're doing, they're bound to make one last push. Okay, begin deployment of the probes. Let's get this sorted.
Keep those Klingon ships off us!
Oh, and who'd have thought the Klingons have returned to attack us once again? We take care of some, but more continue to enter the system. The annoyance is that we cannot just let them destroy the Discovery. We have to return it to its proper time, and having it obliterated will just make matters worse, and I can't be bothered to file another report to Daniels. So, amid placing the probes, we periodically have to stop by to help out the Discovery.
Ion storm intensifying. Soon it will shift Discovery and any ships near it back to the 23rd century.
It's true, the ion storm is getting worse. Bolts of energy increase in frequency.
Shields won't last long. Distance though.
A roiling thunderstorm erupts around us as we amplify the phenomena, creating a hazardous nexus of energies. We pull away from the afflicted space as it begins to warp in on itself.
We're ready to leave. Now! What's the holdup? This is Discovery. We're moving into position. They'd better get those Klingons off our back! Otherwise, this is gonna be a real short trip.
Shields are critical! We're losing them!
Emergency power to shields! Now!
SOMAT to Discovery. Prepare for transit.
Once the research team is able to resume their duties, we will begin to analyze the impact of agonizer technology on the Pahvo ecosystem. Considering what we have just witnessed, it will be logical to make sure Tilly and her crew didn't leave any unexpected surprises on the planet as well.
Unfortunately, during the climax of that, STO's dialogue flares up.
Probes are in position. Activating in...
So, yeah, that kind of ruins the scene a bit. But essentially, the plan worked. The Discovery and the Klingons swarming around it were all taken back in time to the year of the Mirror Discovery's destruction. SOMAT informs us that the ion storm is also lessening. Itself was a symptom of the damage to space-time, and that eventually his team will return to the planet to assess its damage. I'm trying not to dwell on the fact that we basically sent Discovery and her entire crew back to a point where it was destined to die. It's a grim prospect, but a reality temporal agents have to face. Uphold the integrity of the timeline. As for Pahvo, let's hope that it recovers from its ordeal and harbours no lingering malice towards humanoid life. That could prove problematic if it, sets its mind to vengeance. Captain Tilly said that Pahvo is a malevolent entity in their universe. Maybe that's how it started. We also have a brig full of Terrans from 2411 to send back, so Starfleet will have to see about them too.
It will take some time to evaluate the impact of the Terran occupation of Pahvo. The agonizer technology they used to manipulate the planetary biosphere was invasive and damaging. I'm concerned about the effect it had upon the Pahvan ecology, and how that will affect future attempts at interaction with the planet. The fact that Captain Tilly remains at large is troubling. Her technological prowess and propensity for violence should make her presence in this time quite disruptive. Quite disruptive. Should she acquire current technology and return to her own time, it is possible that she will rewrite history as we know it, turning our universe into one more like her own, if not worse. In the meantime, we both have our duties to attend to. It has been agreeable working with you. Live long and prosper.
Peace and long life to you, SOMAT. So, with one loose end left to deal with, I'd still chalk that up as an overall win. So, Thank you for watching the Star Trek Online story series as we continue to explore the ever-growing narrative of Star Trek Online. I've been Rick, and until the next episode, thanks again, and goodbye.